Welcome back for another edition of Manga Mac News. Do you like that? It's like my impression of like the Muppet Newsman, the Muppet Show.
Pretty good.
We got a comment on our Discord. It was like, you should do it in the the Muppet News voice. I was like, okay,
perfect.
But yes, welcome to this week's edition of Manga Mac News for the week of August 23rd, 2021. I'm gonna start off with this news, which is not new news, but it's how Kodansha's digital manga service Comic Days, it now has a support feature for manga creators. They have a service where they can, the manga creators can post exclusive content, kind of like you do with like Pixel Fanbox or maybe a Patreon, and you can pay to unlock like a special illustration done by a manga artist. For example, you have Hatsumi Kodama's manga Zangemeshi, and they have posted like kind of like a sexy illustration of their main character. It looks like in a bunny costume that you can lock. And apparently more than 80% of that payment goes directly back to the manga artist.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, I did not expect like Kodansha's Comic Days to like incorporate such a thing that you would see in like maybe a Patreon.
I feel like this is a great idea. I'm not sure if this is the final form that this should take, but like I'm glad that they are finding new avenues.
What do you mean final form? What do you want?
Well,
like,
I just feel like an exclusive drawing is like, that's cool, but I feel like that won't move the needle much, or I'm afraid it won't. You know, so like, I don't know, like I think offering like merch, like T-shirts or something, you know, like that the like directly on Comic Days, or like this could even happen on the Shonen Jump app, where like you could buy a Chainsaw Man T-shirt and most of that goes to like the mangaka, and I think a lot of people would do that. You know, even people who might not read the manga much, if they like the art, they might buy a T-shirt.
I don't know with like the production of like the cost for like making that T-shirt too. Like,
yeah, that's the question I have.
Harder.
I definitely think that's a good idea, because I think that people want to support, mangaka, and they feel that like buying the licensed merchandise is a great way to do that.
But it does not. That money does not go, and none of that money goes to like the manga artists. Just so everybody knows.
Right, and that's because, again, part of it is the cost of producing the merch, right? And then you have to sell it at a reasonable price. Like, who's going to buy a $60 T-shirt? Some people do, but that I feel like that might be the only way that the mangaka gets any kickback from that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just know that if you go on like T Republic and stuff, there's like tons of bootleg like designs up there of that obviously aren't authorized by like the actual company or mangaka. And I feel like, and there's tons of logistics and stuff that I don't know about that probably stops it from happening. But like, it kind of feels like, like Shonen Jump could do that themselves, Yeah.
But yeah. No, I do. I agree. I think that would be a great way to get that money.
It's a great thing to hear, and I'm curious what comes from it, because I just feel like an exclusive art. Like, am I wrong? Is it just like a digital drawing?
I think it is.
It's not like a print or that they bought.
No, it's not a print. It's a digital drawing.
Yeah, like I feel like that won't move the needle much, or I fear it won't.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I would be more inclined to buy a physical object than a digital piece of art.
Right.
But hey, if it's just like maybe people will see it as just a tip jar.
Sure, yeah.
And with a bonus little JPEG or whatever, it's like, hey, yeah, here's a thank you JPEG from the mangaka. That's cool. So maybe it doesn't matter what they're offering. It's just like they're offering something, or they're offering an option, an avenue for you to support the mangaka more.
Yeah, this has not existed before. So the fact that this even exists through a major publisher, no less, not like some kind of like fan site or whatever, is surprising, and it's a good thing. Also, this news was broken by Manga Machinations. I wrote this. I noticed this on Comic Days when I was looking. Okay, let's move along to other news. So, Manga Plus, which is Shueisha's service that does all the weekly Shonen Jump manga, they're removing language restrictions. Readers can now select their choice of language for the service from English, Spanish, Thai, Brazilian, Portuguese, Indonesian, and Russian.
Yeah, I guess it used to be tied to your region or like your IP address. Now it's like anybody can just choose it.
It's kind of strange why they wanted to do it that way, to tie it, and now why they didn't, like they're making it open now.
There might have been some weird like licensing things.
Yeah. So I don't know about like what kind of rights they have, but usually my understanding is that usually a North American publisher, for example, will have English language rights in specific territories.
Oh, okay.
So it's possible that they only had certain rights in certain territories, or, so that would be what I assume is what's going on here.
I guess Shueisha probably just worked out a deal to get like the ability to like post like all those languages in those regions now. So that's why it's happening.
I would
now.
think so.
Okay, but yeah, it's a good thing. Unfortunately, Manga Plus does not have a subscription service like the Shonen Jump app does from Viz. You can only just look at the first 3 chapters and like the latest 3 chapters or something over there on Manga Plus. But unlike
checking out though, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, unlike Viz's Shonen Jump app, they do have all the manga from Weekly Shonen Jump, because like there was the sumo manga that was running, Hitomaru Zumo, that was running before. It's ended now, but that was, for whatever reason, was on the Shonen Jump app, but it was on the Manga Plus app in English. So.
And sometimes they do like promotions and stuff where they do have like all of a series available, or like a large chunk of it. It isn't always just the first 3 and latest 3.
Yeah,
it's unique. It's weird.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if you wanted to brush up on your Brazilian Portuguese, now is the time. You too can read One Piece in Brazilian Portuguese.
Muito obrigado. Fala pouquinho em português.
Me too. Very little. I can say obrigada, but yeah, my husband took and spoke Portuguese and was in Brazil for a while. I really like Brazilian Portuguese. It's a very pleasant language. As
somebody who speaks Spanish, it's really hard and annoying because it's like Bizarro Spanish.
Yeah,
where, like, it's very similar, but a bunch of small like differences, and some words are reused differently. So
yeah, I feel that way as somebody who speaks Italian. I was like, oh, I look at this text and in Portuguese, and it looks like I recognize it, and then like my husband will say it out loud, and I'm like, what did you just? That's not real. That's not real.
Yeah.
But I do like the way it sounds. It's very pleasant language.
Yeah, and go pick your language on Manga Plus now. But speaking of Manga Plus stuff, I have news that the manga Darfox Dandadan by Yukinobu Tatsu is now going to be available on the Shonen Jump web only in English. So this is not on the Shonen Jump app. This is strange. The reason I bring this up with Darfox is we recently covered Dandadan on a Darfox Dabbles for our podcast, but we did it in Spanish because it's on the Manga Plus app in Spanish. Not in English.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And now it's like we were suspecting like they're trying to work out like the license deal or whatever to put it in English, and now look, it's in English, but for whatever reason, web only, not on the app. Probably another licensing problem. It's a weird manga too. Sorry, Morgana, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say I don't know how like territories work for apps. I've never really thought about that.
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, you too can now read this in English on the looks like the web. I want to say web only, so probably like maybe the Viz website for like Shonen Jump.
Yeah, the Viv website, and then you go to the Shonen Jump app or tab.
Yeah, but yeah.
And this is by an assistant from Tatsuki Fujimoto, right?
Yeah, the creator of Chainsaw Man, his former assistant Yukinobu Tatsu made a manga about a girl with psychic abilities that get unlocked after she gets attacked by aliens, and also a high school boy who gets cursed by the Turbo Granny. It's a fucking weird setup, but it's really good.
When we talked about this manga, we just kind of like we were talking about it and giving the plot synopsis for like 5 minutes, and then we had to stop and be like, okay, we didn't just have a stroke right now. Like we just described literally what happened in this book, and it just doesn't stop. Like the first chapter is nuts. It's worth reading, even if like you're not really interested in the subject matter. It's just like really unique, like crazy book with like a really like wild energy to it. Highly recommend checking it out.
Yep. All right, moving on with news. This is old news, but I just discovered it this past week. Kodansha has a bunch of new licenses for the spring of 2022, and including Welcome Back Alice, which is Shuzo Oshimi's current series about 3 childhood friends, but things get complicated when one of the male friends comes back and has become a trans woman. So very like Shuzo Oshimi take on that. But the point I want to point out the most is they licensed Devil Ecstasy, Dark Fox's most hated manga ever. The common like brought up punching bag on Manga Machinations is Devil Ecstasy by Shuzo Oshimi. Dark Fox has ranted and raved about how that manga sucks. So now it can be in Morgana's manga makeup in the future.
Oh,
It comes
Oh,
out
no.
next year.
I don't know if we want to do that to Morgana. Morgana's not even like the biggest Shuzo Oshimi fan.
No.
And then we do like the really bad one of his. Maybe you like that one. Just like weird property, like the transitive property of like not being the biggest fan.
Who knows?
That's bad.
I mean, judging by what little I know about it, I don't think me liking it is going to be a problem. Or I don't think that's going to come up. I have some concerns about this other one you were just talking about a trans character.
Oh yeah. I haven't talked
yeah.
about it on the podcast, but like I can talk about it maybe next time. There's things about that.
I have concerns.
Oh yeah, and you should.
But yeah, I when I saw this, I was like, oh man.
But yeah, we'll see in the future whether that manga is going to come up on Manga Machinations. But let's move along to the next news, which is how Kadokawa, who helps put out their publisher, and they also do a digital book service for like Book Walker and also Comic Walker. They're adding a new service called Tatesku Comic, short for Tatesku Comic. And Tatesku means vertical scrolling. So this is going to be a digital comic service focused on vertical scrolling manga, vertical scrolling series, and they're going to be in color. So this very much feels like Kadokawa is getting in on the manhwa craze, the Korean manga, because those are usually presented as vertical scrolling and in color. Kind of interested to see what type of series they can come up with. We've seen a couple vertical scrolling manga before, Dark Fox. Like the Vertical World that was over on Manga Plus, which you liked.
I like that one.
Yeah. And some bad ones like Landlock, or the one about the drifting, which you really hated. So
Hate's a strong word, but yeah.
I mean, they didn't take advantage of the vertical format. So there are things that you can do with vertical formatting which are really interesting. This is obviously like aimed at entertainment that you look at on your smartphone. So I'm kind of interested to see what types of manga we'll get from Tatesku Comic in the future. And our final news is also related to manhwa a little bit, because it's about how DC Comics are coming to Webtoon. Webtoon is the mobile webcomic service. They're Korean, right? South Korean, Morgana?
Yes, yeah.
So it's like the English versions of like manhwa put out. And I guess DC Comics is striking a deal with Webtoon and producing DC comic versions of, vertical scrolling manhwa over on Webtoon.
I'm very curious. Everybody's trying to get in on the Webtoon thing, on the manhwa thing.
Specifically, DC is also reaching out like to Korean manhwa stuff, but also they've been doing some DC manga as well.
Yeah, and some like YA comics, like very specifically for teenagers, which are all smart moves, honestly.
Yeah, I actually haven't seen that many stuff from like Marvel, to be honest, in terms of like crossing over for manga or manhwa or whatever, but
yeah,
DC's doing a lot. I mean, I wouldn't say they're the best either. Like, Operation Joker isn't the best, and neither is Batman Justice Buster or
Justice Buster. No, but at least they're putting in the effort to like.
Yeah, they're trying.
They're seeing what the trends are and going, maybe we should try that.
Yeah. But there you go. That will end this week's edition of Manga Mac TV News. beep 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 beep. Goodbye.